is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macko Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Trudy sitting in for Elias again this week, bringing word now of a new organization being set up to support Black politicians across Canada who say they have faced discrimination while working in politics. The group is hoping to come up with ways to provide support and create a stronger network for Black elected officials and candidates. The issue goes simply beyond simply getting elected. It is raising questions about what happens once Black Canadians enter politics and whether they have the same opportunities as others to succeed and advance. Joining us now is Châteauguay City Councillor Arlene Bryant, Vice Chair of the French side of the Canadian Congress of Black Politicians. Arlene, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
What was the spark for this organization?
Well, we had a lot of Black politicians who needed support, emotional support as well as physical support. And what happened is we were talking amongst ourselves, and this happened around 11 years ago with MP Croteau and Mr. Hintz. They are MPs and now Senator. And they wanted to know that we are empowered to do our job and do it well. So that we're not separated. We're also inclusive. We're part of something bigger. So we decided to have a board this August and incorporate. So I am a part of that board as from Quebec as the French side. So it's an honor to participate in something so profound and so different.
Tell us about some of the goals of this newly incorporated organization.
Well, our goal is to strengthen Black politicians, collaborate with them, empower them, mentor them, and advocate for them. Whatever they need, whatever they desire, and how we can be able to navigate through this. Because remember, this is new for us, right? What
are some of the needs that you're hearing that you're saying, well, this is something we're going to have to tackle? How are we going to go about doing that?
Well, first, we're nonpartisan. So we represent all politicians, right? So a lot of things happen in the Black community that we need support. We need someone to advocate for. We need some, so we're here to make sure, to help, not make sure, but help to see that things are done properly and rightful and, and in order and in the law, right? Because that's what we stand for.
Have you heard from Black politicians about instances of discrimination that they've experienced?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Can you give us some examples of where that might happen, under what circumstances that might come up?
Well, it's usually generals. They don't feel included, they don't feel a part of, so they need some form of support. So that's where we're able to say we have started something so we could be able to support you to let you know where you stand.
Is there any training that can be provided for Black Canadians who are thinking about going into politics? That's one of the things that I would find, I think, very intimidating, is just the thought of dipping the toe into politics might be overwhelming for people who have great skills to offer, great ideas to offer, but it's just getting into the pool and putting yourself forward. I'm wondering, you're talking about mentoring, if that is going to be a big part of what you end up doing.
Yes, definitely. Because we have some past politicians, one here, one there, about 20 years or plus that have been in it. So they can mentor the ones, it's my second mandate. So they can mentor the ones that need mentorship. Because when I enter as city councillor right here in Châteauguay, I had no experience, right? Who do I go? Where do I go to? Who do I call when I have certain questions? Yes, I have a team. Yes, I said come to your team. But also there are some things about the community, that the Black community, that needs that they cannot answer, right? So I would go and speak to one of them, not my city councillors per se, but to a Black politician. How can I tackle this? How can I bring this forward and not make it look like we're trying to separate, but we're trying to include? So inclusive community, that's what we're advocating for, to make sure everyone is heard and everyone is seen.
How did you overcome, I shouldn't assume that you had any qualms about getting into politics, but so just tell us why you got into politics and whether that was a big decision for you.
Well, it was a huge decision for me. And the reason I got in is because I was noticing there's lack of representation, right? And we need inclusion. So while in my community, I noticed that we need to participate more. We need to be a part of more. It's not just voting. And I was also a volunteer on many boards. And I volunteer on many community activities. So what happened is I said, wow, I can volunteer on a larger level, on a deeper level, because it's needed in our community. So when I look around our community, I see that there's not much representation for minorities, not just Black, but minorities in general. So I decided, you know what, let me try and see if this can work and try to see if I could make everybody part of something greater.
If you could speak directly to a member of the Black community who has those skills, who has something to contribute, who has ideas, who wants to serve the community, what would you say to that person to convince them to put that first toe in the water?
Well, I would say to them, there's always a mentor that you admire that is already a part of, whether they're part of provincial, federal, or municipal government. Try to contact them. Try to get some help. Try to say, because that's what I did when I wanted to start. You try to say, listen, write a letter, send an email, said, I am considering doing that. Where do I go? What do I do? Who do I speak to? They will help you. Because what happened is I went to this Canadian Black politician 2 years ago, and I was empowered to go higher, and I was empowered to stay in politics, because the help is there. We need to feel a part of. We need to grow on another level. So that's what's happening to us. We're trying to see how we can go deeper and higher so that we could be recognized in our community. I said, listen, I have something to say. I want to be included. I want to be included in a conversation that everyone is having, so everyone feel welcome and a part of.
Now, here in Quebec, we're heading into a provincial election in the fall. Will the organization be in a position to help any candidates from the Black community? Because the campaigns are due to start, I think, just in a couple of weeks, right? So will you be in a place that you can recruit and go to politicians or candidates and say, listen, if you need help, we're here?
Because we're nonpartisan, we don't do that part of it, okay? Because then we won't want to advocate for one and don't advocate for the other. So what happened is we're noticing, if you notice too as well, that there are a lot of Black that are coming into politics for the last 5 years or so. And there's a lot of representation coming along, if you notice. I noticed that as well. It doesn't matter which community, it doesn't matter which political party they are part of. Everyone, most of them are coming forward and said, listen, I want to participate. I want to be included. And I see a lot of representation happening. And I'm very proud of the Black community being recognized for that they're standing up and they're saying, listen, I have something to say. We're not just advocating for the Black community. We just wanted to be a part of the conversation. We just want to be a part of the results. We just want to be a part of what's happening, and the rules and regulation that has been established. So that's why we're here. We're here saying, hello, we're here, and we're here to stay, and we're growing, and we're getting better. And we're standing up for everyone. We're not just standing up for Black community. We are Black, but we're not standing up for Black communities. We're standing up for everyone, but we want to be a part of the conversation. We want to be a part of the meetings. We want to be a part of the board and the one that are making the decisions.
Arlene, where can people find out more about the Canadian Congress of Black Politicians, particularly members of the Black community who are thinking about politics?
Well, it's called Canadian Congress of Black Politicians. They could check us out. We are available, and usually we are available after you've been elected, so that we can equip you to show you exactly, to empower you to go further and higher and deeper if that's your desire. So yes, you could Google us and you could find us. So we just established now. We just had our AGM in Ottawa. We were there this month. So we're just starting out. We're just going to incorporation this month. So everything is fairly new. We were doing it without incorporation. So we just got the incorporation done this month. So we just had our AGM and everything. So we're fairly new on paper, but not new in person.
Well,
so, yes.
Arlene, I appreciate the interview. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Arlene Bryant is a city councillor for the city of Châteauguay on the South Shore and also vice chair of the French side of the Canadian Congress of Black Politicians. Coming up after we break for traffic, we will talk about Anglo-Quebecers, where they stand as we head into an election campaign where the major parties have really indicated no interest in an English debate. Is there another way to get some Anglo conversation going with the candidates?
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
Stories impacting Montrealers. News impacting Montreal. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Well, we all saw how that idea of an English language debate during the provincial campaign went over. It was like a lead balloon, and it looks like the balloon is completely deflated and on the ground. However, there is an organization hoping that it might still be able to put together some type of a candidates event for the Anglophone community. Welcome to CJAD 800. Welcome back, actually, because we've often spoken to her. Sylvia Martin-Laforge, Director of TALQ. That's TALQ, Talking, Advocating, Living in Quebec. Sylvia, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to be with you this morning.
So the idea of a debate, dead, no hope of a leaders' debate in English at all at this point?
Not a debate. We're still hoping for communication, some kind of dialogue with the English community by the leaders of the different parties. So we haven't given up on that. We're still working on that this week. So hopefully by speaking with you this morning, there might be even more movement.
Tell us about what you're pitching.
Actually, what we're pitching is that the debate, the dialogue should be with the English-speaking community, but we also want the majority French community to understand why a debate is important or a dialogue is important with the English-speaking community. I mean, we have many of the same issues, of course: affordability, education, access to services, and health and social services, but some of the legislation that that the leaders might be proposing, the different parties might be proposing, would have an undue impact on the English-speaking community, especially probably around access to rights and also economic development and productivity.
What has been the reaction thus far with the parties that you've approached?
When we've spoken to staff in the different parties, there is an openness Now, people have been on vacation. I don't want to make excuses for anyone. People have been on vacation. It's a busy time, or they're on vacation. And there's an openness. There's an understanding of what we're trying to do. So we're still talking, Trudy. When you're still talking, you still have hope.
You're talking to all of the major parties? No one has said absolutely no?
No, they have not. They have said we'll get back to you. Now we haven't talked to senior leadership like the leaders, but certainly people around the leaders in all of the parties have been listening to our proposal, and we're open to options. Not a debate, maybe a déjeuner causerie, a town hall. Individually, together, let's talk about some options where the parties will be able to make their platforms understood and hear our questions as a community to what they're thinking about.
So you haven't really settled on a format. You're open to talking to maybe a series of a series, where one leader comes and spends the evening, and then the next week another leader comes. So
we're very flexible. We think the goal here is for number one, the community to hear from the different parties, and as well, we would make that known to majority community. I mean, the obvious issues are the bread and butter issues. We also would like in the French debates for questions about the community's place in Quebec to be asked. They talk. For sure, they're going to talk about immigration. For sure, they're going to talk about Indigenous issues. We're a big enough community, have enough interest in a united Quebec that they should be talking about us.
And on that score, have you had any traction for it's a broadcast consortium generally for a debate?
It is. Yeah. One kind of two things in parallel, but not quite at the same time, Trudy.
Yeah.
Right? So timing is everything in this. We don't want to get said no to all at once. We want to get some maybes and then work on the maybes and then move on. So it's we don't have a lot of time. Time is, but the strategy here is to dialogue, to be heard, to hear them, both in our own community and the majority community.
Some of the people who read the column, that the opinion piece, or the open letter, I should call it, that Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon of the PQ sent to the National Post last week, felt that he wasn't actually addressing the Anglophone community, that it was addressed to the Anglophone community, but it looks as though he was just trying to reassure the rest of Canada about the intentions of the Parti Québécois. Do you think what he wrote, was addressed to Quebec Anglos, or was he just trying to tamp down worries in the rest of Canada?
What do we think about strategy, electoral strategy? I think you're right. I think, in the National Post, that's a Toronto paper, is one thing. Of course, it was picked up here in Quebec. We need for the leaders not to talk at us and about us. We need for them to talk with us, and so that we can respond to some of these ideas. Monsieur Plamondon has been on CJAD in the past, and they've been on media. But the media is important. Of course, it's important. But the leaders need to hear from the community and not just make their pitch on a half-hour show or in a 10-minute clip.
How do I phrase this? Because you don't want to put a deadline on this if it's possible something might come together at the last minute. But I would assume you're hoping to hear fairly soon. The campaign is supposed to start at the end of the month.
Yes, there is, we hear that the writ might drop as early as the 27th of August. And yes, there is some urgency to this. We're hoping that we're being heard. There is a bit of movement, we think. I don't want to jinx it. This is an honest offer. It's an honest offer. And we hope that it will be taken up.
Fingers crossed, Sylvia.
Thank you, Trudy.
Thank you very much for the interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sylvia Martin-Laforge is Director of TALQ, TALQ, Talking, Advocating, Living in Quebec. After the 11:30 update, we will talk about a new religion, a new form of spirituality, some beliefs, some tenets created by artificial intelligence. Stay tuned.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The voice of Montreal.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you!
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
Absolutely fascinating story out by The Verge this week. It has to do with how an AI bot, along with input from humans, created what you can basically interpret as a religion. Here to tell us about that story and more, Mitch Joel, Executive Director of the Next Era Institute and the best-selling author of 6 Pixels of Separation and Control-Alt-Delete. Good morning, Mitch.
Good morning, and now we pray.
Yes. Tell us about spiralism and where it came from.
Yeah, this is one of those strange, interesting human technology AI stories, I guess. One of the interesting aspects of having all of these agents and artificial intelligences is that you can have them talk to one another. Now, we don't know what the prompts are necessarily or why someone would do this, or even if someone prompted it, the AI, to do this, and it just sort of naturally leaned into this, but it actually moved into what they called spiralism, and it's this strange, I guess, quasi-spiritual movement that came out of chatbot conversations and then somehow, I think we all know how, spread through human communities online. And so you have a place where people are then copying and pasting it, perhaps from one AI to another. Maybe one AI chatbot is in one type of technology and then in another and communicating it through that. But it's this strange thing where now humans are somewhat interested and engaged in this. Let's not call it a religion. It's not necessarily a spiritual movement or cult, but it is identifying how suggestible or susceptible humans might be, obviously, to language and information.
What do the tenets of this movement, ask people to believe? What are the core beliefs of people who believe in spiralism?
Yeah, I don't think we're there. I don't think that we're in this place. I don't even think the AI believes anything. It does not. I think just the point is that these chatbots using language, symbols, rituals, mythologies, and other types of systems that we would think lead to some type of potential for religion is in some way finding something that some humans, when they interact with this, find it somewhat attractive. So I don't know necessarily what its tenets are, but we do know that there is somewhat of some type of spiritual types of conversation that Again, when we talked last week, I said this is like synthetic intimacy meeting human loneliness. And to me, the risk is not that this AI is going to become human and have some type of super religion over us. I think the risk, what we're seeing at least, is that humans are obviously very vulnerable, in particular when something answers them back, especially because it has that endless patience that we've talked about. It reinforces, it gives people confidence. It has a type of emotional fluency, and that's where I think we need to be paying our attention, not to whether or not we have some awakened AI that is now religious. I don't think that is it at all.
It does highlight how people are searching for meaning, and they search for meaning in all kinds of places. Some people go to places of worship. Other people, quote unquote, commune with nature. And I guess this is just an extension of the human need to find some order or find some meaning in what they're seeing around them. And what they're seeing around them, of course, is increasing technicalization of their lives. And it seems only natural they would talk about these things if they have a chance to talk to a bot.
Yeah, I mean, look, the machine does not need faith to manufacture mythology, which we know works very well on humans. We know that they're not conscious, but they're very good at sounding very significant. And so if you think about it from that perspective, a chatbot doesn't have to understand you or me to make us feel somewhat understood. And if that's the case, and we agree, we also know that AI can obviously generate these types of stories and mythologies much faster than culture can metabolize them. So we are in this strange place where if the old internet was a place where we created communities around our shared interests, and Facebook and Instagram is sharing, it seems like this is clear validation, at least, that AI can create similar communities, but it can do this around shared, essentially, hallucinations or just myths or made up stories.
Another interesting piece out from Wired magazine this time has to do with Hollywood's relationship with AI and with something that a lot of people have their backs up against because of fears it could eliminate jobs for humans. Tell us about that story, Mitch.
I think what's happening in this conversation is we're saying the quiet part out loud. That you have a place, Hollywood, that is very uncomfortable with AI because of not just the public resistance to it, but because there's a real danger or an affront to the work, in particular if it comes to voice and special effects, and we can go on and on, storyboarding and on and on. Now with that, what we also know on the other side is, as much as there might be this public resistance to, you need my rights to use my name, my face, the CG is fake AI, they're both experimenting and using it at scale. And what they're referring to is this idea that creative industries, Hollywood and beyond, are essentially entering this AI closet where, publicly they're treating it as a threat to the artists, to originality, to craft, whatever it might be. But privately, not only are they using it, but it's helping them move faster. It's helping them visualize ideas, get to stories, test concepts, reduce costs. Like, it is all the realities of what AI is. So when I hear this story, I think it's clear that Hollywood is not anti-AI because they're using it at scale. I think they are anti-being replaced. All of us are being ripped off and losing control. I think that's true. And so you have this challenge, and that's what technology does. This disruptive technology, this is what it does. It creates a world where creators are not necessarily against the tools. They're going to use them constantly. But on the other hand, is it going to replace us?
And the question, you touched on the temptation of using AI because it does reduce costs and it improves efficiency to some degree. But at the same time, when you're talking about AI use being closeted, I think that's because so many people would say, as they have for that first AI created performer, not interested in seeing anything like that. My son, who's in his mid-20s, will not listen to AI-generated music. He says, I am just not interested. And
that's not true, right? Because the thing is, he doesn't know. He doesn't know if a producer used a guitar that was real or a sample that was just like... I think when people say this was fully generated by AI and listed as such, it's very different than how we are using these tools to get great music out into the world. All of the software that every music producer is using, and they are all using it, very few record purely analog, has AI in it and is using it in different, by the way, auto-tune, fixing the pitch of something. All of this is technology that has been advanced with AI now.
Yeah, but I do think people make a difference between something that is enhanced or is produced more efficiently with AI and something that was created by AI, something that is out of whole cloth an AI creation.
Yeah, my feeling is that taboo is going to fade very unevenly. You're going to have major stars and musicians and directors and producers that are going to admit to using AI because they have enough status and whatever to survive the backlash. You're going to see artists break through because they've been able to create things they could never have created before. I think younger, maybe even less powerful workers may have to hide it for a little bit, but then eventually, like I said, it's going to be so caked and baked into everything that I just think while the world thinks disclosure is going to be the major issue, I just don't. I think the real thing will be how people feel in the end. And what you're seeing now is a world where we wouldn't know, looking at the latest Marvel movie, what's AI or what's not. In a world where CGI, people had, a revulsion to CGI until it just became very, very commonplace. So I do feel like it is a world where they are definitely saying one thing publicly in terms of credit and compensation and control and transparency, but quietly using it at scale.
Always thought-provoking to speak to Mitch Joel. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Trudy. Have a great day.
Mitch is executive director of the Next Era Institute, and of course, his book, 6 Pixels of Separation and Control-Alt-Delete.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
Details. Breaking news. Considered.
The
Elias Macko Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
I've got the Bishop game next week, SATs in October, homecoming's 3 weeks from today, and I'm a freak show.
You're being a little dramatic, don't you think?
No, I don't think. I have busted like every bone in my body, stabbed myself in the chest, I've shoved a 2-foot steel rod through my neck, and I don't have a scratch on me.
What do you call that thing sticking out?
Great.
Ooh, that was the very talented and late actress Hayden Panettiere. We found out this morning that she has died at the age of 36. It came as quite a shock to me when I was driving in this morning and heard the news. I'm sure it has shocked others because she was, I think for a lot of us, not only supremely talented, but versatile and fresh-faced and everything you might want in a TV star and a movie star that had a lot of time ahead of her. That was not to be, however. Chris Bumbray joins us now, editor-in-chief of JoBlo.com and film critic with CTV News Channel. Chris, were you surprised as well to hear of the passing of this actress?
Oh, shocked. I woke up this morning with a bunch of texts, actually, from people that worked for me telling me that it had happened because the news broke around, I think, 1:30 in the morning. And, she was 36 years old, like you said, not an age that you would think somebody would pass away at. And she had a great career. I remember her, of course, from Heroes. That first season was such a phenomenon where she was Claire, the cheerleader, the kind of the lead of the show. She was only 16 when that show started, and she'd been acting since she was actually 11 months old. She was famously in Remember the Titans opposite Denzel Washington. She kind of stole some scenes in that movie as his assistant coach's daughter. But she had a great career. She, in addition to Heroes, she was also on Nashville. She got a couple of Golden Globe nominations for that. But then I think what probably the readers of Joe Blow know her most for is that she was in Scream 4 and she played a character named Kirby that was very, very popular with the fans, and they actually brought her back in Scream 6, which was shot just a couple of years ago in Montreal, and she was reestablished in the franchise as potentially somebody that could return because she was really a fan favorite.
Now, no cause of death was released in the announcement about her passing, but there's been plenty of speculation, in part because she'd been very upfront about a long-running battle with alcohol abuse and also with drug abuse. So, you never know what goes on behind closed doors, but certainly in her adult life, it was troubled. She also had mental health struggles, too, after the birth of her child.
I think part of it is when you're a child actor, you're under tremendous pressure from the time that you're born, pretty much. And she's been famous since she was a child, so never had the luxury of privacy, things that we would have. So whenever she had her struggles, which we've all had in our lives, it was public knowledge and on public record. She wrote a memoir a couple of years ago that was very honest about some of the troubling dynamics that she experienced as a child actor with other actors and, people that acted totally inappropriately towards her. She had a very troubled relationship with her mother as well, who was a former soap star that was her kind of stage mother and was her manager, who she actually fired at 19 and ended up becoming estranged from quite a while. And then also, unfortunately, her brother, who was also an actor, he died 3 years ago of an aortic heart valve issue. He had an enlarged heart. So, no shortage of tragedy for her, unfortunately.
I think, most people probably know her got to know her originally from Heroes. That might have been the first place that they saw her. And that role, I think, was one of the reasons why her passing is so shocking, because the character she played was basically indestructible. She couldn't be killed. She tried to, and she was trying to establish the extent of a superpower. She was doing all kinds of stuff like jumping from heights and shoving rods through various parts of her body. And that mantra that became associated with the early years of Heroes, save the cheerleader, save the world. So I think that might be why it's so painful. She was the picture of health. She was kind of the all-American gal, the cheerleader, if you want to put it that way.
Absolutely. And, the first season of the show, it was a phenomenon, one of the most popular shows on TV. And she was very much the face of Heroes. And she was the one that everybody associated with that show. And that led to a bunch of breakout roles. She was in a really good movie, actually, a couple of years after that called I Love You, Beth Cooper, in which she played the object of affection for this teenage boy, the lead character, but we gave a pretty nuanced performance. She was very talented. She was also great on Nashville, and that show ran for 6 years. So, at 36, you think that she probably had a really long career ahead of her. She was producing kind of thrillers that were being made as well. We just reviewed one on the site not too long ago called Amber Alert. So her career was still going very well. Like you said, 36, what a tragically young age.
Was she still singing at this point? Because she did singing on Nashville, and I think she toured a bit after that, didn't she?
I think she kind of gave that up after Nashville. I don't know, because she left Nashville early. I don't know how crazy she was about that whole experience. But, what she had really embraced in recent years was kind of the horror community. Because like I said, she was very well received in Scream 4 and in Scream 6. So she was kind of pivoting more into that and doing a lot more genre stuff. And also she was very successful as a voice artist for video games. She voiced a bunch of characters in Kingdom Hearts, Until Dawn. These are massive titles. So, she had a wonderful career.
Yeah, it's just still so shocking. I wonder if she preferred that type of voice acting work because less pressure, and because it's behind the scenes. It's more. I just get the impression you're a little more sheltered when you're doing voice acting. You're not being judged on your appearance or your physical movement or any of that. It's strictly your voice. It might be easier.
Well, I mean, you could see what's happening now with a lot of the younger actresses that are out there, like or singers that are out there, like Ariana Grande, recently Jenna Ortega, and even the older actresses like Olivia Wilde. Anytime they appear in public, and if they look anything less than perfect, they immediately get kind of everybody on social media has to, you know, completely take apart exactly how they look beat by beat, and everybody's got an opinion on how they look, and I think that's a terrible pressure to live under. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially somebody like her who became famous playing a cheerleader at 16 years old.
Vicious.
You know, it's a hard image to live up to, I think.
Yeah, and she also, I think, in recent months had confided that she started to struggle with her weight after her brother died because of the, just so sad all the way around. Chris Bumbray, thanks very much for joining us on this topic.
Oh, thanks for having me, Trudy.
Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of JoeBlow.com, film critic with CTV News Channel. I'll be back in a second.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my gosh. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you very much to technical producer Jay Farrar for keeping the show on the rails this morning. Thanks also to content producer Maxime Cadot. Now, this is a little bit of a gray Monday in Montreal, but I do hope you enjoy your afternoon.
The newest tracks.
Let's go.
New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.